You're live. The million-dollar question: can the Carolina Hurricanes win a conference final game? Well, based on the past several years, the answer to that is no. But we will see what happens tonight as they face elimination. Florida leads the series 3-0. And Carm, I'll go to you with this. I mean, Sebastian Aho, or excuse me, Seth Jarvis scoring a goal late in the game. I don't even know if that brings morale and momentum to this team whatsoever. Not only can they not win a game in the conference final, they can barely score a goal in the conference final. On a scale of 1 to 10, Carm, how dead is this team? And is the answer 13?
I think they're dead. It's tough, Andrew, because you keep hoping. No one expected this series to go as it did. You know, we thought I thought the Canes probably had a chance before Game 1 to win the series. I definitely thought less of that chance after Game 1, and then definitely after Game 2. It's just Florida. It just seems like a beast. They just seem to be getting better and better each game. I thought the Canes did play a little bit better in that first period, but they ended up giving up that goal and then played better in the second period, but then gave up the go-ahead goal. And you can't play from behind against the Florida Panthers. Once you get behind, they just wear you down, and that's exactly what they did. They Brendan Moore tried to shuffle lines, didn't work. Tried to go with Kochekov in goal, didn't work. I'm not sure what's left other than pride, but there should have been pride in Game 3, pride in Game 2, pride in like any of the 13 previous games of the Eastern Conference Final that starting in 2009, where they've been swept. This could be the fourth series they've been swept. It's going to be a good game, I think, regardless tonight. At least you would hope so. I always say the more games that we have to bet on and talk about, Andrew, is good. But my God, it's just the Florida Panthers did one thing right in the Toronto Maple Leafs. Actually, they did a lot of things right in the Toronto Maple Leafs series, but although it took them 7 games, is they chopped the head off of that top line with, they stopped Matthews, they stopped Marner, they pretty much stopped Nylander as well, too, and dared the rest of the Toronto Maple Leafs team to beat them. Well, what did they do in this series? Game 1, I've talked about it. Svechnikov, Aho, Jarvis, that number 1 line. 33 shots on goal. They had 11 of them. Game 2 and Game 3, a combined between the 3 players, a combined 4 shots on goal in 2 games. If you want to talk about chopping the head off of a line, that is pretty much it for Florida. They seem to be doing it, and whether you like the way Florida plays or not, they're getting the job done. So it's Andrew. I was looking at the total in this one, and I just thought, this is probably a good game for an under. If Carolina's completely given up, their only way of beating Florida is a low-scoring game, and that's a tough thing as well too, because Florida plays well in those 3-1, 3-2 type games. You're not going to outscore Florida, because in order to outscore Florida, you've got to open the game up, and Florida has shown that they can roll teams, and they did it to the Leafs in Game 5 and Game 7 when you give them a little too much ice. So even with that, Andrew, I'm going to take a slight lean on the under in this game tonight.
Carm, looking at that under, would you look towards the first period under as well, just in case of the empty net goals or the absolute avalanche in the third period? Or do you think that it's going to be just one of those shutdown type of games? Because as you said, and I'm guilty of this, like I've said, the desperation is going to be there. I've said it in my analysis, my write-ups. But at the end of the day, like, wasn't this team desperate in Game 2 and 3? And, like, shouldn't they have been desperate the whole series? That's always the thing that we look at here with this one. So is this the kind of bet that you would look at the first period and full game?
Yeah, I probably would. You look at the last game, and I think it was 1-0 at the end of the first period. I think the Canes did a lot of what they were trying to do in that first period, which was get out of the opening 20 minutes with a manageable result, hopefully tied or in the lead after 20 minutes, and then go from there, one period at a time, one shift at a time. they couldn't get it done. I think a goal in with about 5 minutes left in that period, put Florida up 1-0 in that one. The empty net goals have been a killer in this one, or those late third period goals. You look at the game, and I was fortunate in that one. Not fortunate, but I will say that the third period went great when the Dallas Stars scored 5 goals against the Edmonton Oilers in the third period, because I had the over in that one. But I passed on yesterday's game because I couldn't get a 6.5 to take the under in the Edmonton game. I like the 6.5, and it was the only number I would give to clients. If I was releasing one, I wouldn't release a 6. At the end of the day, it didn't matter because it finished 6-1. So it's probably best that there wasn't a 6.5, because I just didn't. I didn't expect in that game yesterday, Andrew, for the Dallas Stars to lose in the manner that they did. But can we talk about goaltenders, Andrew, for for just one more minute, and how everyone wants to blame the goalies, and then when the goalies look better, they can't give them the accolades they deserve. So what do? Well, the team's playing better in front of the goalie now. Stuart Skinner, 3 shutouts in the NHL playoffs thus far, and he allowed 1 goal in this last game. Andrew, is he playing better than Jake Ottinger right now? Because the discussion was in the last series with that it's all about Jake Ottinger, and now here we are, and it's no longer Ottinger and Hellebuck. It's Ottinger and Skinner, and Skinner's and the Edmonton Oilers are up 2-1 in that series.
100%, Carm. 100%. I know it's easy for us to just say that, but as I said last week, and as I said, I think a couple weeks ago, is that goalies are very similar to coaches, right? When the team's not playing well, it's the coach's fault. When the team's playing well, the all-stars are doing their job. When a goaltender's not playing well and they're losing games, it's all on them. When the Oilers start winning games, the team itself is playing well defensively. They're playing better, and Stuart Skinner doesn't get that credit he probably deserves. I mean, if only all the accolades and the flowers could be given to him just the same way that he's given all this crap towards him. And you know what, Carm? I'll just say this, because you know what? In the world we live in these days, with social media and with how people can pile on people and how everybody has something that they're going through, it goes to show how much of a mental game it really is. I mean, what athletes go through. Sure, they have great lives, fancy cars, this and that. But you know what? Stuart Skinner's been through hell and back the last week and a half. He lost his job pretty much to Calvin Pickard, and he wouldn't have gotten it back if Pickard didn't get injured. Pickard was doing well. Then he got injured, and then Skinner gets his role back. And he comes back and it's 2 straight shutouts. Has a tough one in the last game, and then goes ahead and wins this one. So it's really interesting to see how these goalies can move from one game to the next. I mean, when it comes down to the numbers here, Carm, 6 goals against, minus 3.64 goals saved above expected. So that's not very good. That's tough to look at. So we always talk about expected goals. So looking at that number, I mean, close to 3.5 more goals than should go in. And if that was Stuart Skinner, they'd be up in flames about it, about that type of stat line. And my 2 cents, you talked about the changes for the Carolina game. I always try and defend goalies, but I'll tell you, some of those goals I think that Freddie Anderson would have let in. Like at first, I was like, man, yeah, Pyotr Kochetkov is playing very well. I mean, Kochetkov is doing his thing. Brendan Moore did what he thought he had to do by making a goaltender switch. But then I saw that goal that kind of like went right underneath the glove of Kochetkov. The other one went underneath his pads. It's hard to ever blame a goalie, though, in a series, Carm, when you look at what the score lines have been throughout this series, right? Like when you look at the scores here, talking 6-2, 5-0, and 5-2, when the Hurricanes have scored 4 goals here, it's hard for us to really say much about the goalies. And so when you look at Kochetkov, you look at Freddie Anderson, and Freddie Anderson has a bad record in conference final games, going all the way back to when he played for Anaheim. And I'm talking years ago. So, everyone's talking about, does Brandon Moore have a job? Are they going to blow the system up? It's very interesting. And I want to know what everybody has to say in here. We've got a lot of great hockey minds in here. Titans CT, NHL All-Star Bet says Canes in 7 plus 1450. Man, that would be you need to give me a hell of a lot more than that for Canes in 7. Markinson, Oscar, so many guys in here with us. But what needs to happen for this Hurricanes team? Like, Carm, if they lose tonight, what happens to the team? Because from my opinion is this: every team has their own threshold they're trying to break through. Whether you're a fringe playoff team trying to make the playoffs, whether you are a bottom 5 team for a couple of years getting draft picks and you're trying to move into that middle of the pack team, every year you have a goal. And at the end of the day, your goal needs to be kind of held accountable, right? So for Carolina, their goal is not to make the playoffs. Their goal is not to win the first round. Hell, their goal this year probably wasn't even to win the second round. I mean, it sounds like a pretty big goal, but their goal is to fight their demons and put up a respectable performance in the conference finals, And so that's the thing. Like, I know I'm drawing this back to the Canadians, but their goal was to make the playoffs. That was an overachievement. Their goal was actually to be in the mix. The fact that they lost 4-1 to the Capitals, nobody can be upset with them. No one's getting fired. No one's getting traded. Nothing's happening. But for the Hurricanes, does Sebastian Aho get moved? Do some of these key players get moved? Does Brendan Moore, bring in a new coach? Does he get fired? Like, what's the deal here with this Hurricanes team? And it's not like the Florida Panthers aren't that good. I'm not saying that, Carm. It's more so for me how they're losing, not just the fact that they are losing.
Andrew, we're going to see some. I have to believe we're going to see some off-season changes, and you can take the line of. Sorry, you can take the line of. Excuse me, there. Of it's the Florida Panthers that they're playing, and this team's play. You have to beat the teams that you play. This is the third time with Brendan Moore as coach where they're about to be swept or could be swept tonight. Just getting to the Eastern Conference Finals isn't enough. You got to get to the Stanley Cup Finals and have a legitimate chance to win, and they're just not doing it. He's the guy that almost gets them there, but doesn't get them there. Does it fall on him and solely him? No, because the players on the ice aren't getting it done either. Whether it's chemistry or whether it's not, they brought in guys to help this team out at the trade line this year, at the trade deadline last year, and it hasn't helped this team. So at some point, we've seen Stanley Cup winning coaches get fired. Brendan Moore's not a Stanley Cup coach winning a coach, a winning coach or whatever. He's got to go, Andrew. I think he's gone at the end of this year. I know they love him there, but that fan base is quickly going to become sour if this is the norm for this team each and every playoffs of just making it there. It's the old Ricky Bobby thing. If you're not first, you're last. And they're getting to that point. I want to thank the guys who are in the chat for coming in and dropping comments, especially today, Memorial Day. Happy Memorial Day to all of our paisans and friends and families south of the border. Have a safe and happy one today. Definitely, if you're drinking, please do not drive. Grab an Uber, a cab, a Lyft, whatever it is, or a designated driver. Andrew, I don't know what to tell you. I do know, who watches the show? I'm just going off on a tangent, Andrew. Connor McDavid watches this show because I stated the Edmonton Oilers, if they can stay out of the penalty box like that third period where they allowed 5 goals, 5-on-5, this is probably one of the best teams in the league. And if you listen to Connor McDavid after yesterday's game, he said, we're staying out of the box, 5-on-5, we're playing our game, and I don't think anybody can beat us. So I'm not sure those are exact words, but pretty much that's what it sounded like. So I'm going to say that he's watching this show. He's probably the guy who posts under Carmine's #1 fan. Maybe that's not Hal. Maybe that is Connor McDavid.
I hope it is. I hope it is. If you're watching, Connor, give us a boost on social media or something here. But you know what, Carm? I got to say this because, transparency is important to me and you on the show. And as much as we're trying to sell picks here, I'll tell you, I've had a really good regular season, and I've definitely dropped down during the playoffs. And I think a lot of that for me is not keeping it simple, stupid. Like I'm not seeing some of these teams that are playing well and riding them. Like I remember a couple years ago when the Boston Bruins, remember they had that record breaking season. I sat to myself and I was like, why have you not taken the Bruins enough this year? And honestly, man, I'm sitting here right now thinking to myself about the Tampa Bay series, about the Toronto series, and about this series now against Carolina. And I'm like, dude, why have you not bet on the Florida Panthers more? And that's just, I'm thinking to myself, like, it's been an opportunity. This was an opportunity. They were good numbers here, good numbers there. And like, I understand it's not too late. And I always bring up the fact that, Teddy used to always say when a team is dead, they're dead. You can tell when a team is done. They're ready for Cancun. Him and Ski used to always joke around about that in basketball together. But then we always talk about the gentleman's sweep too. And then that gets in my head. It's like, well, how often do we really see a conference final sweep? Except for Carolina has actually seen it a couple times, Carm. So it isn't really a rare thing for them. But look, the team total is over 3.5 plus 110 for the Panthers. As you mentioned, it was only one goal in the first period. And the last one ended up being an offensive explosion in the last one. And when you think about going out with pride, the thing is, does going out with pride for them mean like it being low scoring fashion, or does it mean them finally scoring some goals? Because that's the crazy thing is that, you look at this team and you could have taken their team total under in both games so far and cashed. You could have taken the team total over for Florida in both games so far and cashed. So at the end of the day, I can't argue with your under, Carm. I really can't, because conceptually, I think if Carolina has any type of chance of showing fight, they keep this game kind of a battle. I don't think their game at this point, like I would be shocked, and I hope I'm wrong, if in the first period we see like 2 goals from Carolina. My bet that I gave clients, Carm, you're gonna laugh at me. I don't blame you if you laugh at me. My pick that I gave out, and I bet with my own money,
ready to laugh.
I gave out Carolina to score a goal in the first period at minus 125. And they didn't score a goal until they were down like 6-0 with 5 minutes to go in the third period. Meanwhile, all over my social media feed, I see Florida, 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 puck line, Florida this, Florida that. Like it was the easiest bet of the year. And so I think to myself now, in the closeout fashion, this is one of those games here for me where Carolina's got to prove it. Carolina's got to prove it. They're going to give everything that they have in this one. But I'm probably going to be looking towards the Florida side. I probably will be. And, Carm, I know you're on the under here, but I'm going to tell the chat right now and people watching, I'll probably be betting a live over in this game. If I see even, the first 10, 15 minutes, no goal, I'll be looking for a live. There's a reason why I'm on the DraftKings page right now, on the periods page. Not every book will do this for you, and DraftKings apparently doesn't. They give you a first period total pre-flop, right? They'll give you a second period total pre-flop. No pre-flop third period total. The only thing they'll give you is which is going to be the highest scoring period. Third, second, or first. And the third is plus 195. First is plus 400. Second is plus 225. Even though it's plus 195, the worst price, I probably would bet that third period plus 195 because of the empty net goals, because it seems like Carolina gave up in the last game, Carm. When it was 3-1, all of a sudden, bang, it was like I was watching with some friends. Some of them went out to smoke, and they came back, and there were 4 more goals in the game. I was like, you guys, first of all, got to quit that habit. Second of all, you just missed 4 goals.
Yeah. No, listen, I get it. We were watching, I think we were watching a game as well, too. I'm going to go off on a bit of a tangent and then get right back to it. Watching a game, I think it was the Oilers in Dallas, and I'm watching it with my wife, and I go to the bathroom right when there was a Dallas penalty. I'm like, I can make it back and forth quickly, and then I hear her yell from the other room, "Goal!" because she's cheering for Canadian teams, of course. So I'm like, "Are you kidding me? I missed like and then it seemed like the only goal for the longest time in that game." And I'm like, I can't believe I missed that goal. But the older you get, the bladder doesn't work the same. Andrew, I see some questions in our chat. I mean, and you talked about the season as a whole. And the one thing about this Puck Time show is it allows us through 5 days of the week. Obviously, we don't have shows on the weekends. Is to show transparency, and we do. We talk about starts to the season. My start to the season is just like I keep getting hit by a train in October, and I want to take October off and just go somewhere. And then it steadily improves. And then once we hit 2025, we went on a nice little roll. Started the playoffs well. Round two didn't go the way I wanted to, but I'm looking to finish strong in the second half of the season. But I talk to my clients pretty much every day via Twitter DM, and we'll discuss things, or the X, whatever you want to call it, and we'll discuss games during the regular season and in the playoffs. And they like to bounce props off of me, and I tell them whether I would play it or wouldn't play it. That's the great thing about being able to catch someone's ear, but also having a show where you can talk about. We're not, I very rarely come on the show, Andrew, during the NHL season, if I'm having a monster week and pat myself on the back. It's just because I feel like you should be winning. So it's more important to talk about the losses. But with that said, someone in the chat asked, Mitch Marner to the Buffalo Sabres. Can that happen? I don't think so. I think the Sabres are a long way still from making the playoffs, even though they have some young talent. I don't think it's a fit there for them to spend that money. But Andrew, if I was a betting man, and I know right now books that are offering odds show that the odds on Mitch Marner, the one that leads right now is for him to return to Toronto. I don't see that happening either. $26 million in cap space they have. They're going to have to re-sign Matthew Nyes if he gets offer sheeted. Tavares, they have to re-sign Tavares at a much lower number because they can't go with another center, and Ty Domi is not the guy you want to head into the playoffs as your centerman, second or third centerman. So they need to re-sign Tavares at a lower contract, giving half of your money away to Mitch Marner of the $26 million in cap space, and then signing Nyes. You've essentially gone back to a core four where you're paying them all the money. I think, Andrew, Mitch Marner is going to end up with the Vegas Golden Knights. How's that for a cold take?
Yeah, Carm. I mean, if he goes to the Vegas Golden Knights, it will be unbelievable because they're going to find a way, as they always do, to be in the mix. They will ship a player away tomorrow if they can to find a way to get Mitch Marner. He's on my list, or they're on my list for him. I'm going to throw you off with one here, Carm, because Vegas, I'm going to give you a city that's pretty much the opposite of Sin City. Utah, Salt Lake City, the Utah Mammoth. You go from the Toronto media, you go from one of the busiest and most kind of jam-packed hockey cities in the league to, let's face it, a brand new franchise, a team that didn't have a name until a few months ago. You want to talk about a change in pressure? That'd probably be a change in pressure. I think there are probably about 5 or 6 reporters asking questions compared to the 16 reporters asking him questions after Toronto home games. Utah could be one to look at there. LA, I've heard that LA is going to make a pretty big push on him. That could be a mix. And then if he doesn't go there, I'd probably argue Chicago could be one to go play with Connor Bedard. Connor, they've got money to spend, Carm. So I don't know.
No.
We'll see what happens there. I see you're shaking but there's a small chance that he might go play somewhere that's not a playoff team, right? Pittsburgh or Chicago. It'd be a dream world for him to go to LA or Vegas or one of these teams. But the teams that don't make the playoffs typically are the ones that have all the money. That's the thing. But to your point, probably I'm going to guess you're going to say to me is he gets to choose where he wants to go.
Yeah, he can choose where he wants to go, but I don't think he's going to want to go to a non-playoff team. I think he wants to be in the playoffs, and I just have a feeling it's gonna be the Vegas Golden Knights. Um, who is it? Cooley that said he doesn't want to play for Utah next year. Trade him, I believe.
No,
He's
that
with
was
Utah.
that
Was it?
was a joke account. I fell for that too.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay. So,
Yeah.
two things. Two things I'm going to throw back to you, and then you give me your thoughts on these ones. And the guys in chat, tell me if you agree or disagree with this one. First of all, you don't need to mention this one, or whether you agree or disagree, but congratulations to the U.S. men's national team. Their first gold medal in 90 years. They beat Tage Thompson, Buffalo Sabre, does it in overtime to win against Switzerland. Who would have thought? And then the Canada meltdown against Denmark late in that game, and they get bumped out of it. But Andrew, I have this argument with my Leaf friends up here all the time. So Toronto complains, the Prez more so than anybody else, complains about the fact that long-term injury reserve is ruining the game. People are cheating. So here's the thing. Why not re-sign all of your guys, your core four? Re-sign Marner, re-sign Matthew Nyes, and then start off the season, have the best 50 or 55 games that puts you number one in your division, has a you're going to make the playoffs, and then grab Austin Matthews with a mystery illness and stick him on the long-term injury reserve for 25 games, which allows you at the trade deadline to go out and spend a lot of money picking up players because you just reactivate Matthews come playoff time, and it doesn't count. If you can't beat the system, join it. And if you don't like the system, force the NHL to change it by doing moves like this. Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews go on to long-term injury reserve. The Leafs now have $26 million worth of salary cap room that they can sign some proven playoff players, make your team better for the playoffs. What do you think about that, Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, my biggest problem, Carm, with it is that players just magically get healthy for game one. If a player is coming back in game 4, 5, or 6, or the first game in the second round, I don't care. I think Matthews should have gone on LTIR. I think you're right. The plan that you're saying is true. It could work. At the end of the day, though, you need your best players, at least one of them, to be kind of a bit of a dog. And not one of those guys is really a dog. That's all it really comes down to it. I know this isn't really something you're going to hear on ESPN or NHL Network. They're not really going to say it like that, but it's just true. You look at Florida, they've got a bunch of guys that run around. They want to, you've got your Sam Bennett's, Matthew Tkachuk, and Brad Marchand all on one team. How do those guys all end up on the same team is beyond me. It's shocking, really. But yeah, the LTIR, Carm, I think it's a problem. I'll be honest with you. I think it's a problem, but I get it. To your point, everybody can use it. Everybody can kind of benefit off it if they'd like to. I just think that it's, who scored a goal in game 7 against Toronto? Seth Jones. Would Seth Jones be able to be on this team if Matthew Tkachuk wasn't on LTIR? No. Brad Marchand, they got him for a bag of pucks. I'm not complaining about him, but Seth Jones, his contract's worth like $9 million. So, it just sucks that it feels like 4 of the last 6 teams that have won the cup have been like $8 or $9 million over the cap come playoff time. We can't say that's not a pattern. And to your point, everybody can use it. But at the end of the day, what's the point of us having a salary cap during the regular season if one guy can get injured 4 months before the season's over? And if the team is good enough to stay in the mix for the playoffs, they go and pick up a $10 million player. That's my point. I just think that's just not, how can the league say there's not a problem with that, Carm? I got a few props for us before we end the show, but that's it for me, Carm, on that.
Yeah, and we'll get to that because we're all over the place. But until the league changes it, there's no rule against it. So you just do it, and you continue to do it. It's just trying to take things out. And maybe people don't like this one, but it exists. They're not doing anything illegal. So at the end of the day, if teams can take advantage of it and it works for them, so be it. Do it. It is like it just drives me nuts. It's kind of like the NFL recently voting on the stupid let's get rid of the tush push. Why? Just because you can't stop it? So what's next? Um, let's limit teams to only have one wide receiver who can run 40 yards in 4 seconds because our safeties are too slow. The Buffalo Bills voted against the tush push, and Josh Allen, how many times, and I'm a Bills fan, how many times did he profit from that tush push? He absolutely loved it. I don't get it. It's just, man, just a bunch of whiners. I don't get it. Keep whining, whatever, guys. Flip some hot dogs today. It's Memorial Day. Andrew, all 3 players on that number 1 line of Seth Jarvis, Sebastian Aho, and Svechnikov, their shot props are all 2.5, and they're all juiced to the under. All juiced to the under. What does that tell you? It tells you that in the last 2 games, they've managed a total of 4 shots combined. That seems like almost like the easiest, although there's no such thing as easy, 3 same game parlay, all 3 of them under their shot props.
It's crazy, Carm. I mean, I talked about the last time you and I spoke. I think that one of the bets I think I'm confident in the most for game 3 of the series was Aho over 2.5 shots on goal. I was like, if anything, this guy's going to shoot. I mean, whether they win or lose, or they win by 5 or they lose by 6, this guy's going to get shots on goal. No, he didn't even get shots on goal. And you know what? Coach Brendan Moore said after the game, if Jordan Staal and Martin Nook are our best players every game, it's not a good thing. He pretty much said, no offense to these guys, but these guys aren't supposed to be our best players. I kind of love the way he said that, Carm. He's like, it's like a backhanded compliment. Like, yeah, these guys were good, but they're not supposed to be our best players. And that's not a good thing. So yeah, Aho. I mean, if I'm loading up on props this game, looking towards overs, it would be on Florida. Unders probably on these Carolina players, that's for sure. Because if Carolina has a chance, it'll probably be in low scoring fashion. Look, based on lineup information, based on what we're seeing, from what we're hearing still, the lineup should be relatively the same. So if you can bet him, if you can find a number on Boquist, I would bet him again. I would take a look at him. I would try and find him anytime goal scorer. Look at him to get points. But you know, one guy that's been really, really good, Carm, has been Evan Rodriguez. He's great right now, and he's on the top line left winger. It's Rodriguez, Barkov, and Boquist. And that's just the depth that these teams have. I mean, for Hagee, Sam Bennett, Matthew Tkachuk is a second line, Luostarinen and Lindell and Marchand the third line. Just a very spread out offense. So when you look at these guys here to get points, it's very spread out. You know, Sam Bennett is on the third line, but, you know, he's minus 150 second line. But when you look at a guy like Evan Rodriguez, he's plus 100 to get a point. So you got Sam Bennett that's on a lower line than Rodriguez. He's minus 150. You know, you've got some of these guys that are on different lines that have actually less value than the guy, you know, on top. I think Evan Rodriguez right now to get a pretty good point. If you can find a book to give you Boquist, I would take a look at him once again. And then I got to take a look at the shots on goal props again for Carter Verhaeghe. This guy's shooting the puck a ton. He's making a ton of noise around the net. And then I just mentioned this guy, so I might as well mention him again because he was huge early in the series and huge against Toronto. Seth Jones is someone that I'm looking at betting for tonight as well. But guys, I look at Daily Faceoff all the time, and I look at those rosters, look at the lineups the coaches have there, especially with Reinhart being out. They added Boquist to that top line, and he scored, and he was like plus 400 last game. So Rodriguez, Boquist, and then here's a good way if you want to find a way to make money on Barkov is by betting Barkov assist. You know, right now to bet him to get a point itself, the odds just aren't very good. But if you want to get him to get an assist, minus 115 is pretty good for a guy that had a handful of points in the last game. That's it for me, Carm. Those are all my thoughts here in this one. I'll tell you what, we got 2 baseball plays so far going for today. CFL, look, we cashed a CFL preseason pick on the weekend. We did go 1-1, but we cashed one by like 25 points, which felt like more than even one win. But I'm excited. We're doing previews. We're doing breakdowns. We got videos, articles coming out. You guys can get my early bird special right now at my homepage, wt.buzz/am. Going to be a real long 21-week CFL season. Last year, we crushed it with the 5% plays. Cannot wait for that. And then also tomorrow, I have a special coming out with Don Buster where it's a BOGO special for both of our seasons comboed together. So you guys can join us for that as well. But if you want to join me for my full CFL season, get that at my page. Anything I just talked about for today's show, you heard that I like in the NHL. We'll see if I end up releasing anything. Could be a prop day for me. Could be a live betting game for me. We'll see what happens. But guys, we want to hear from you. Comment after the video. Comment during, whatever you feel like. But let us know. Do you think that Carolina has one game in them? Do they have one win in them to survive? Will Carmine and I have a show on Wednesday? That's the big question as well. We'll find out, Carm. I'll tell you what, Carm, I booked a tea time, actually. No joke. I booked a tea time like the Carolina players are going to probably do for 2 o'clock on Wednesday. And I'll tell you, if Carolina gets eliminated tonight, that 2 o'clock tea time is going back to like 10 a.m. because we won't have puck time to do. So I'll get to have an earlier tea time. But that's it for me, man. Over to you.
4% best bet up in the NHL for tonight. I really like this play. I'm going a little different with this one. So it's a little different than what obviously I discussed on today's show. And after cashing a 5% play on Sunday with Chelsea plus 114 to improve 10-3-1 with 5% soccer plays in 2025, I have a big one loaded for Wednesday in MLS. It's already up because I want subscribers who are already subscribers to get the best number now because I expect this line to steam off a short week. So grab it now over at WagerTalk, or if you want to save like $10, pick it up tomorrow. I will have a coupon code for you guys on tomorrow's show. But that's pretty much it. That's a great deal with Andrew and Buster, two guys who really know their CFL. Buster still has his leather helmet from back in the day when he played football. So that's it, guys. Thanks for hitting that like button. A lot of you guys have done it. If you're on Instagram or on the X, hit that heart button. We really appreciate it. Hit the subscriber button if you haven't already done so. Over 200,000 subscribers and growing each and every day. For myself, Andrew, and our award-winning producer, Dan Alexander, this is Puck Time. We will see you tomorrow for the Edmonton Oilers and Dallas Stars Game 4.